This is the Pulsebeat. It's said that every inspiration starts with a spark, and we're here to ignite a fire. Join us as we showcase conversations from esteemed experts in a multitude of specialties. You'll find experts discussing topics that stimulate, inspire, and encourage. From the famous and familiar to the lesser known, the Pulsebeat will be your go-to for stirring up a sense of truth and optimism. A podcast that pulses truth with every interview and story, bringing hope into dark places.
Yes, welcome to the Pulsebeat, where we ignite conversations that spark the flames and build a fire and passion for optimal health and well-being. Hey everybody, I'm your host, Jason Hewlett, and I'm here with the amazing and my co-host, Lisa Hill. How are you, Lisa?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. What an amazing opportunity to be on with you too.
We have an incredible day here for ourselves, and you look snazzy. I'll tell you, you are all dressed up.
Hey, I'm on with you too. Come on now.
Well, we are thrilled that we can all be hanging out today. We have an incredible episode lined up for you, and we're so excited because we have somebody that's extremely special here today. Our episode today is about exceptional living during exceptional stress with the one and only Pastor Ben Graham. Now, Pastor Ben Graham has been serving the Lord since the age of 14, and he's been in full-time ministry since he was 20 years old. As soon as you hear him start speaking, you will tell that he has been doing this one incredible spirit about him. Pastor Ben pursues his passion of serving people in God's kingdom by leveraging modern media, relationships, and technology to introduce people to Jesus Christ and to true life. Pastor Ben, thank you for joining us. How are you today?
My pleasure. Glad to be here. Thank you so much.
Well, we're thrilled that we get to hang out with you. And before we roll into that, we just want to remind all of our viewers and listeners that our mission here at the Pulsebeat is to inspire and educate, to shine a light into dark places. So having Pastor Ben, this is perfect. We're going to discuss solutions and more with health leaders, experts, and people like you and me, those who enjoy valuable insights, life hacks, or actionable tips to help you optimize your overall health and well-being. So hopefully that you too can ignite a spark of fire for change using the information you learn. And so today with Pastor Ben, I can tell you, Pastor Ben and I only met about a month and a half ago. And it's only because of Lisa Hill that I know Pastor Ben. So I'm so honored that I get to hang out with you two today, and we'll let Lisa begin the conversation if we can. Lisa.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. Again, sometimes when you in our life walk, right, you meet somebody and you just feel that you have a heart connection with them, and then they go to this place of honor and reverence and respect, and that's really where Ben has been, not only as a dear friend of mine, but a brother in the Lord for all these years. And he has been able to move mountains without even acknowledging it himself, but because of who he is in integrity, but also who he is. And he has such a great desire. I think that's one of the things that people will feel when they meet Ben. He has such a desire for you to be better in every aspect of your life. And, he's been very open about his latest journey, his latest challenge, and we are all his biggest cheerleaders and walking with him on this journey. And so that's one of the things that we wanted him to visit with everybody about was, how do you get through every single day when you have an overwhelming situation that sometimes we can't control, right? So I think that's really important, Ben, to hear from yourself, and really as you share with people, how do you do that? How do you take a situation that you've just been, you've been experiencing for some time now, but you've been sharing with other people, not only for their prayers and support, but I believe that God's going to use your story for even greater good. But how do you do it, brother, on a daily basis?
Yeah, well, first off, let me say it's a blessing to be with you guys. And Lisa, it's always a blessing to chat with you. It is funny because, Jason mentioned you introducing me and him to each other, and he was giving you credit for that. Most people blame you for that. So he just hasn't known me long enough yet. So anyhow, so that was very kind. But It's amazing because, I think there is this sense of, like I go back to when I was a kid and full of dreams and hopes and goals and desires. And in some ways, I didn't do everything that I had planned in my life as a kid. And yet, in a lot of ways, God has allowed me to exceed my expectations of, I guess, what I hoped and wanted to do. And it's not that I became a billionaire or because I became this or that. It's more about just, I go back to the scripture that says, delight yourself in the Lord and he'll give you the desires of your heart. And of course, I think when you delight in the Lord, when you desire to please him, it changes your desires. And so, I think your desires quickly become what it is God wants for your life. And that's where you find true fulfillment. You find joy and peace. Most people are looking for that desire. They're looking for that fulfillment in the things that they maybe lust with their eyes or with their flesh, the things that maybe looks pretty on the outside, but they don't know what they're getting into. And so I'm very thankful that God has blessed me. I've got a wife of 25 years and 4 boys and a daughter-in-law and a granddaughter. And you and I both became grandparents about the same time, Lisa, and that was awesome. And we were kind of bragging to each other about that. But it's been amazing, but along the way, you never know what life's going to throw at you. And, I always encourage people, whenever you think you have a bad day, just know somebody's going through much worse than you are. And for me, it started about 12 years ago. I found out I was a diabetic, and I decided, probably 4 years into it, I tried insulin, I tried metformin, I tried all these things. I thought, I'm going to get healthy. And so my goal was to not have to ever take medicine again. That was my goal. And so I started working at that, got in great shape, got off all medicines, was doing fabulous. My A1C was just back to being great, and my doctors were impressed. And 2019 came along, and we were filming a movie that summer called Pardoned by Grace with Michael W. Smith and Joey Lawrence. And I play a cop in that movie. And we get home from filming. We had been in northern Indiana, and it was a Saturday night. And I'll never forget, about 11:30. I knew something was up. Something didn't quite feel right. I checked my sugar. It was fine. And all of a sudden, boom, I had a massive heart attack on my bed. And I woke up my wife, and she called 911, and they came there. And I remember staring at the corner of my room and just kind of praying. And I said, Lord, I thought I'd be around here longer than this, but just please take care of my wife and kids. And I remember thinking this thought: I'm just glad I don't have any regrets. There's nobody I need to call and apologize to.
That's huge.
And not that I've lived a perfect life by any means, but I just remember having a peace about it. All right, Lord, if this is it, just please take care of my wife and kids. And I really thought that was it. God allowed us to survive that, and we found I had a 98% blockage in my widowmaker, and so I ended up having a stent put in, and thankfully I bounced back really quick, and just back to my normal flow of life. And at that time, I was going back and forth to DC almost every week, and pastoring a church and all the things I had going on. 2020 came along, and Lisa, you'll remember this well because you're one of the first ones I talked to. But they found a big mass in my right kidney, and I had renal cell carcinoma. And it baffled the doctors again, because here I was healthy. I'm not on medicine. I'm not eating the typical foods that maybe people would associate with causing cancer. I was very limited on what I eat, drink, all those things. And so, went through that. But God allowed us to very quickly bounce back, and we were doing great. And then in 21, again, the cancer came back in my lungs, and we went right through all the procedures. And I've been blessed to have great doctors who are maybe in the medical field, just oncologists and neurologists, great naturopathic doctors, holistic doctors. And we've just been surrounded by so many wonderful people who really, truly care about us. And we try to just always seek the Lord on what was the right direction. And started looking for products. And then in the spring of 23, they had a spot they were monitoring, and they said, we're going to have to do a biopsy. And I said, well, I'm heading to Israel. I'm taking a little sabbatical, so let's do it when I get back. We go to Israel. A handful of people knew about this and was praying for us, but we didn't make it public knowledge. And then went to get a scan before this biopsy, and they said, "Hey, there's nothing there; it's gone." And so we're praising the Lord, this great miracle. It's gone, no cancer, and we're excited. We share with our church and other people, and was really thrilled about that. And then 3 months later, went to have a scan, and they're like, "It's back, and we got to do a biopsy." And of course, one of the most frustrating things for people when they're battling health is just the ups and the downs, and the
Yeah.
sometimes not knowing, and there is really sometimes a million ways that you can pursue something, and that can get overwhelming, especially if people are feeling sick and all that. Well, I go back for a minute, but starting around May or June of that year of 23, I started taking Cardio Miracle. Now, Lisa has introduced me to a few products over the years, but this was by far the best tasting product I had ever had. And I said, well, I love the taste. Let's see how it goes. And what was amazing about when they did the scan and they found that I had cancer again for the third time in my left kidney, the thing that was amazing about it this time was the first time I didn't feel sick when they gave me the diagnosis. Before I was sick and I knew something was up. This time I felt great. Matter of fact, I've been telling people for the last 6 months since I've been doing Cardio Miracle, and it's the only thing that's changed. I felt like been in my 20s again with just the energy that I've had. That's the thing that I've loved most about this. But we decided to keep it quiet. My wife initially wanted to kind of share it. She wanted to get people praying, and I just knew that when you announce it, you'll have 1,000 different opinions about what you should do. And I felt like it was time for that moment to just be still and know He is God and let God speak to us. We were making a transition out of being a senior pastor, having done that for 23 years, and a lot happening in our life. And so with all this change, I just wanted to pray about it for a little bit. And it wasn't until December, just a month ago, that we announced publicly what was going on and started documenting our journey. And for me, it was about just one being the right time. But I'm one of those people, and I know most guys don't like the doctors. They don't like to, go visit. But I'm also a very private person. I appreciate that people care for me, but I also don't like to be the center of attention when it comes to health things. Now, like everybody, I might have a little ego. I like people liking me. I like them encouraging me. But, that whole I'm praying for you stuff as a man, that makes you feel like you're weak if you're sick. And, we don't want to be weak. We're tough and strong and all that stuff. Yet at the same time, I knew it was the right time to share it. And we did. And one of the things that we've really been able to help a lot of people with, and I've now, just in the month that I've shared this, I've probably met with about 150 people going through cancer right now. And
Wow.
the thing that I've been able to tell them is your attitude makes all the difference.
It does.
If we are living with the mindset of the fear of cancer, cancer is a scary word for most people. And so, we live in that mindset, man, does this mean I'm going to die quicker? Does this mean this is going to happen? That's going to happen. The reality is, I could just as easily die in a car wreck today as I can die from this cancer. Yet I don't every day when I go to get in my vehicle panic because I might die in a car wreck. We don't think that way. We get in, we drive where we go. We have a positive attitude about it, even though every day people die in an accident. And we hate to think about that, but that's the reality. But we don't live in fear over that. And that's the same with cancer. But if you start living in that mentality of fear, it can start affecting you. My doctors told me, said, look, you may feel a little tired and you may feel a little bit of this. Now, they didn't at the time know I was on Cardio Miracle. They know it now. Matter of fact, my doctors are trying it. And when I go in here in about a week, I'm going to find out their results. Now we don't just go in and I get my results. I go in and get their results as well. And so we're going to find out their results and what they think about it. But it's been amazing. They're like, you may be tired. And I encourage people going through cancer, and it's a real thing. You can be very sick, you can get very tired, you can get overwhelmed, but keep a positive attitude. Keep your eyes focused on God, knowing that He is the giver and taker of life, and trust in Him with that attitude. And I think that makes such a massive difference is when you keep your eyes focused on that. And the other thing is, my routine didn't change. I still make a to-do list every week. I still make a priority list every week, and I stick with that because having goals to live for will keep you going in those days that are a little bit more of a struggle than the good days. And so keep your eyes on the prize and keep moving forward. And I think that's one of the things that's really helped me through this.
Pastor Ben, I could listen to you talk all day, brother.
Right?
Thank you for preaching that goodness to us. I am so blown away by your positive outlook, and I just appreciate very much that you lean into it that way. As I was learning about you and I started to follow you online, you are a great media personality, obviously a figurehead for a lot of wonderful things. You have a film company, you have a book, you have podcasts, you have a lot going on. What would you say is some of your favorite things that you do in that realm? I'm just curious because you are doing so many things. What really gets your juices flowing?
Well, I think my latest thing is actually a sleep program, and what it is people play me preaching a sermon, and it helps them go to sleep. So, uh, you said listening to me all day long. I have some people they do that. They listen to me all night long, but they fall asleep. No, I think it's amazing because I shared this story. My brother called me a while back and said, "Hey, I used you in a sermon illustration. I have four brothers. Three of them are senior pastors, and I thought, oh, great. What story did you tell?" And he talked about he was doing a graduation ceremony, and he's talked about how I wanted to be a police officer when I was a kid. And then when I got a little older, I wanted to be an actor. And then when I got a little older, I wanted to play in the NBA. And then when I was 16, it was the summer of my going into my junior year, I was selected. They picked two kids from each state to go to this leadership training in DC. And I told everybody that summer, from then on, I was going to run for president in 2016 because that's the first election that I would be old enough to run. Of course, God called me in ministry. I didn't do any of those things. And even when I graduated high school, I had opportunities. I worked at the largest law firm for a little while, my first year of college. They offered to pay for me to go to law school. One of the leaders in my dad's church offered, he was a medical doctor, offered to pay for me to go to med school. And I had a lot of opportunities, but I just knew God called me to ministry. And I said, this is what God called me to do. And I stuck with it, went into ministry. My brother went on to tell how I did ministry, but God allowed me to become a reserve police officer and a chaplain as a pastor. And then, I got to do movies, and I had a friend that played for the Los Angeles Lakers, and I got to warm up with the Lakers and play with Kobe and Shaq and other people like that. And then during the 2016 to 2020, with President Trump in office, I got to be involved in the faith team and go to the White House and be involved in an amazing group of people working within the White House. And so he was just sharing how God gave me the desires of my heart. Well, I was like, that's cool. I go to bed. It's like a week and a half later. I wake up at 3:30 in the morning. I was like, oh man, God has really given me the desires of my heart. I never really thought about it like that. But he truly had. And I've just developed such a passion for really two things. Is for me, I love speaking and sharing the truth of God's word, and I love acting. I'm not the greatest actor. I'm trying to get better at that, but I love doing that. I love being on set. I've been on faith-based films. I've been on secular films. When I'm on secular films, people find out I'm a pastor. I become a counselor, which my doctorate degree is clinical counseling, so it works out. But people in Hollywood need a lot of counseling, and so it's been a great outreach. But when I'm on these, more Christian sets or faith-oriented sets, it's awesome to be on there because we're putting out family and faith products that really can impact people's lives, and we've seen that in some of the films we did. One particular one got pirated on YouTube, and the executive director called me, or executive producer called me, told me it got on there. I was like, oh man, what are you doing to get it off? And he said, well, let me just tell you what's happened. And he started reading all these notes from people around the world who watched the movie and said, this movie changed my life. I came to know the Lord because of this movie. This helped me in my faith and all that. Just thousands upon thousands of people leaving these notes from places like Pakistan, where it's not so open to share your faith. And he said, we're not doing anything. He said, this is the point of this film, to reach people. And so it's just become a passion of mine. But everything that I'm involved in, whether it's writing a book or podcast or whatever, it really is to try to do one of three things. One, to share my faith and let people know that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. No man can come to the Father but by him. And so that's the first thing. The second thing is to encourage people, because we all go through times of discouragement. We all go through times of just feeling down. And you can't, if you watch the news, you can't watch it for long and not get discouraged. I mean, it's crazy all that's going on. And I think the third thing is just my desire is when I get done with life, I want to know that I did everything I could to do what God called me to do. And so I find that there's a lot of ways to get the message out, and we try to utilize as much as we can.
Well, one of the things, Ben, that you just touched on was health, right? So how can we accomplish, and I've been on this path for, going on 40 years, but how can we accomplish everything the Lord has for us if we don't have our health? And so the fact that you have been pursuing that for all these years, and you've been able to share your message with other people, and really what that ultimate health looks like. It might look different to, every single person, but I believe that through everything that you are going through right now, you're being such an enormous inspiration to everybody that meets you, everybody that hears your story. And I know the next question they usually ask you is, so how are you doing it? What are you doing? And I think that's what's so exciting to me is all these years that you've been on this path, you have attracted the best of the best, correct? The best in the alternative health, the best in these different, and everybody is gathering to what can we do for Pastor Ben? And my heart is so warmed about that. And the fact that God is going to use your story to be able to help, I believe, not only thousands, but millions of people. And the fact that you were introduced to Cardio Miracle at such a pivotal point excites me as well, because, I've been studying nutrition again for all those years. Every single ingredient in the product, including some of the herbs, cause and encourage healthy cellular replication. Of course, we always say that we don't treat, cure, or diagnose. But I think it's encouraging to me to hear how you're feeling. And also because your body is a measurement of really your internal health, your actions every single day. So I encourage everyone to look at the different ingredients that are in the product and some of the herbs. And again, I'm marveling at how your dad, literally, Jason, put this product together for such a time as this. People are striving for ultimate health. They had no idea that in this product, there's not only herbs, there's vitamins, there's minerals, there's probiotics, prebiotics, greens, so many things that are going to, help to encourage the health of the healthy cells and to make it quite impossible sometimes for the other cells to live. So hats off to you for picking up the mantle and being able to share with other people, Ben.
Well, I appreciate that. I think one of the things that my wife and I determined about a month ago when we decided to share publicly not only what's going on with the cancer, but we've been sharing treatments, some of the things I've been doing, some of the fasts I've been doing, other things, because I really believe this has become part of my story. And we're already gearing. I have a new book coming out in February called Ignorance and Apathy, Two of America's Deadliest Sins. And it's kind of geared towards getting people to wake up in what's going on around us. But I'm already working on, and as soon as that book is released, we'll start putting it together. But I've started working on my book for next year. And I believe next year we're going to really shift, and it's going to be a year of really talking about health, and really believe this is part of my story. And so what we're doing is I've had probably, this is no exaggeration, probably close to 1,000 people reach out to us about ways that we can battle cancer. Many of them are repetitive. Almost every one of them, I think, with the exception of one thing I had heard about before. But we're putting this all together, and part of what I want to do in this book that we're going to do, not only share our story, but we're going to put down all these options. I would say most of them, unless I just know it's something that's not valuable, most of them can work in some capacity. And I really do believe one size doesn't fit all for everybody.
Yeah.
People are different. I have a friend who, I love him, but he was determined he was going to go completely holistic, and he did all the best things that were out there to cure his cancer, and he died of cancer. He would not, do chemo, radiation, anything like that. I know people who have done chemo and radiation and died. And then I also know people who've done both and survived. And so, it's kind of knowing what's out there. And I think the three things that's important when somebody's trying to decide a path for them is the first thing is, to pray about it and get a peace that this is what God wants you to do. The second thing is to make sure your immediate family, if you're married, make sure they're on board with you, because you really need them to encourage you, because no matter what path it is, it's going to be a struggle at times. It's just like in doing this 5-day fast the other day, it doesn't sound bad, but the week before I had like a 7-day cleanse. And so I didn't think about doing these two that close together. And man, oh man, did I need my family to encourage me a lot in sticking with that. And, you need, when you decide something, a path, you need that help. And then I think the third thing is to have a clear understanding of what it is you're doing. And this is where so many people get overwhelmed because, especially in the naturopathic stuff, a lot of times it's so difficult. People struggle with following it because it's like, you've got to stand on your right leg, lift your pinky toe up on that same leg while shaking your left hand. And then you need to be able to recite the alphabet in Hebrew, and people are like, wait, what? And they're so overwhelmed by it. And really, it's not that difficult. It's just sometimes the people who teach the naturopathic, they're so familiar with it. They speak at it in a language that's common to them, but it's not to the average person who maybe is for the first time discovering, hey, there's an alternative to this. And so these are some of the things that we're charting and writing down and trying to work at to say, look, this is a path and this is the best way to pursue that. And here's websites and here's people that can help you. And so, right now I'm taking a list of doctors, of naturopathic doctors, and many of them have been on my show. Many of them support Cardio Miracle. We're putting this together. One of the things I discovered, I didn't know this, but in our search is that a lot of people that have cancer, they can't figure out why. It's because they have infection in their teeth. I never knew this, and discovered this. And a lot of times their teeth weren't hurting. The dentist said, no, you're good. They would go to a biodentist. They would get a certain testing done. And what would happen is they would find the infection, they get rid of it. I personally know of 20 people that went through this treatment last year, got the infection out of their teeth, and within a month, their cancer was gone.
Oh, wow.
And so there is things like that is out there that people need to know. But there are some people who've went through the bio treatment, got the infection removed, their cancer stayed. So I say that not everything cures it, but that may be the one thing that this person needs, so they need to know about it. And this is the things that we're talking about. And I know you got to be careful when you talk about cure and all that, but just aspects that people can look into and see if it's a route for them to go. And so these are the things we're doing. But I highly recommend anybody, whether you're the healthiest person in the world or you're falling apart. I met a wealthy investor from New York City down in Texas 2 months ago. He has one kidney left and it's barely working. And I said, I got a product you need to try because it's been known to help people's kidneys. And I told him about Cardio Miracle, and I tell anybody, try it. And you can try it. If you don't like it, okay, money back guarantee. We won't fault you for that. We won't bug you about it. But I'm telling you, everybody that I've had try it, I just keep getting the word back. I love it. This has been great. I just got a text message from a guy I know from Illinois. I don't know him well. I haven't seen him in years. He goes, I seen something you put on maybe social media about Cardio Miracle. And he said, I want to try this. My blood pressure is always high. I'm on medication. He goes, and nothing works. He said, so I bought it, but I was very skeptical. He said, I've been taking it for 3 weeks. He said, not only am I off my medicine now, he said, but my blood pressure is normal. Wow. And he said, so I've been able to get off my medicine. And he goes, I'm a big believer, and sent me this nice note. Now, this isn't me telling you Cardio Miracle do this. I'm just telling you what Dave told me it did for him. And these are the kind of messages I'm getting. So not only is the product working for me and my family, we're loving it, but we're getting the testimonies from other people, and it's so encouraging.
Well, one thing that I want to share with everybody, which is, about 10 years ago, I heard this and I read this scientific study, which was, how do we increase our T cells? Well, why are podcasts like this so critically important? Because we need to connect. Connection is vital to our overall healing and our ultimate goal of being well. Because in this study, what they did is they took an audience of individuals, they drew their blood, they tested their T cells, and then on stage, they had one individual give another individual, they had a random act of kindness. They ended up giving him a financial gift. And so they drew everybody's blood again, what they thought of the story or the other study. They thought, well, the ones giving and receiving were the ones that their T cells would be the highest. Do you know what the study showed is that the people observing the random act of kindness, their T cells were increased far further than the ones receiving and giving. So I
Wow.
think what that says is everything that you're doing, Ben, Jason, and each of us as we get out there and share with people and connect with people. I think that was the problem and the challenge during the last 3.5 years when everybody was shut down, right? We had no connection. Our Father gave us such a unique, He gave us the Holy Spirit, but the connection is so extremely important for the healing of our ultimate body. Just by observing and hearing your story, I believe you're going to go forth and you're going to help thousands of people, because it's through that that we have hope on a daily basis. And we can tackle the next day. We're not alone. And what you are doing and the people that you are going to walk with today and in the future, I believe are going to be into the thousands, if not millions. I'm so excited about that. And thank you for sharing it. I know it's not easy. I'm a cancer thriver as well, 27 years. And that's what drives me on an everyday basis is I know the feeling. And I made a promise to my Father that I would never stop sharing when I found something good, because you never forget that feeling. Right. And you don't want anybody else to ever feel that way. But there is hope and there is opportunity. So I admire everything you're doing by putting this together in a beautiful book and a presentation and sharing the Cardio Miracle story. Because one of the biggest things when I was working in, the emergency room, patients would go through treatment. Now, this is many years ago, but when it first started, patients would go through treatment. Do you know the number one thing they would come into the emergency room at 2 and 3 in the morning was dehydration and malnourishment? So think about what the Cardio Miracle does for us on a daily basis. It nourishes, and like Judy Makovich says, it's food. We're literally drinking this most amazing food, and it's going into the cells, and it's helping to bathe the cells in this beautiful, luxurious, product. So I'm excited about that. I'm just so thankful that you're sharing it with us, and I'm so excited that you're a big part of our Cardio Miracle team.
Thank you.
I just wanted to make mention in case anybody is tuning in for the first time to the Pulsebeat, or maybe it's a bunch of great followers of Pastor Ben. When it comes to Cardio Miracle, maybe you haven't heard of what that is before. So what I was curious about, Pastor Ben, if you don't mind explaining to us on this podcast, what is Cardio Miracle and what's been your experience since you started taking the product?
Yeah, so Cardio Miracle is it's an amazing product. It's got 53 natural ingredients that are very good, but it's based off nitric oxide. That is the most important key ingredients of it. To be honest, with the first time that Lisa brought this product up was the first time I'd really looked into nitric oxide. I'd heard of it. I'd heard a few things about it, but wasn't something I was really big into knowing what it was about. But it's amazing what nitric oxide does. I think the key thing too with Cardio Miracle is, I mentioned this earlier, but it's a product that comes in a powder form, and you put it in your water, mix it up, drink it. But it tastes amazing, and it gives you energy, sustainable energy. It's not like drinking coffee or something that would, get you somewhere and then crash, or an energy drink. It gives you energy, but it does so much more. And it helps your blood cells. It helps your heart. There's many things that science is showing that Cardio Miracle is actually helping people with. I mentioned earlier, my friend and his health issues, but there's many other things that Cardio Miracle is doing. For me personally, and I can only really, the best testimony is our own personal testimony. For me personally, what it's done is it's not only given me an energy, but it's given me a sense of feeling like I'm 20 years younger. Now, a lot of people say this to me. They say, you don't look old enough to be a grandfather, or you don't look old enough for this or that or the other. I appreciate that. But my body tells me I'm falling apart and I'm just as old as can be. And I always joke and say, I'm not as old as some people, but at being a senior pastor for 23 years ages you more. So I'm like a dog, add 7 years for every year. And, and I think that there's been a lot of health things we've went through. And so with that, sometimes that sense of not being able to sleep at night, just being uncomfortable, struggling with inflammation and pain, to feel like I'm in my 20s again has been amazing. And the only thing that changed over the last 6 months consistently was me getting on Cardio Miracle. Now, in the last 3 months, what's been added to that is I'm no longer a pastor at least the lead pastor. That takes a little stress off, and that's certainly been good. I'm back to exercising regularly. This was something that is so important, that when I went through the cancer the first time in 2020, within 4 months, I was back to working out, but I got frustrated because I couldn't work out daily like I had been before the surgery. My doctor said, just be patient. It's going to take a little while. You had a major surgery. You went through some major changes in your body. When I had it the second time, I had no desire to work out. All of the rest of 21, from June on, all of 22, I never worked out except for maybe a little cardio at my house. I had no desire. Even though I felt good in 22 physically, I was burnt from everything I'd been through. And so going into 23, I was feeling overwhelmed. That's why I took a month sabbatical. I was just feeling overwhelmed. And when I started taking this product, it literally changed the way I felt physically, and has now allowed me to get back into working out while I'm battling cancer, while I'm doing some different kinds of treatments and things. Here I am at the gym, running my head off on the treadmill, and then over there working out with my weights. And, I remember a conversation happening about, do we take Cardio Miracle during workout or after workout? It depends on what it is you're trying to do. And for me, sometimes I'm drinking it while I'm working out. Sometimes I'm drinking it after, but I love it. And my wife, we both, one of the things we love doing is having our Cardio Miracle after workout, because it replenishes you so fast.
That's right.
And here's the two testimonies I'll give. I led a group. I did a cruise. I did a Journey of Paul trip in October. And so we flew over there. It was land and cruise. And of course, on the cruise itself, it's sleep a few hours, and, time change, and then you're doing the tour, and it's a crazy busy schedule. You're on a different time change. I took my Cardio Miracle every day. And this is what was cool on that trip. Every day but 2 days, I worked out, which I've never done going overseas. I've been overseas a ton. I've done a ton of mission trips and all that. I've never worked out when I was over there, because usually I'm sluggish because of the time change. I worked out all but 2 days, and I never had an issue with the time change going there, coming back. I just adjusted so quick. And then I would testify that now, with the working out and all that I'm doing, I've just felt amazing. And so the only thing I can attribute to all of this has been Cardio Miracle. It's just been amazing. I'll mention another friend in Nevada who started taking the product, and he called me 2 days into it. He goes, look, you're going to think I'm crazy. And John is probably late 60s. And I want to be careful to guess his age wrong. Maybe he's in his early 50s. I don't know. John, if I got it wrong, I love you, buddy. But John's maybe somewhere between, I'm going to say 59 and 69, somewhere in there. But 2 days into it, he calls me, he goes, you're going to think I'm weird. He goes, but I feel like all these cobwebs have been removed from my brain. He goes, I just woke up today on day 3 with just such clarity. And he goes, this is crazy. Well, that was a few weeks ago. And I said, well, let's see where you go in a couple of weeks. He is loving this product, and it's really changed his life. So everybody's experience is a little different on what they seem to feel that it helps them with. But one thing seems to be common is people that are taking this product, take it for a little while and truly give it maybe a few weeks. I don't think you have to wait that long, but give it a few weeks to really see. And I tell people, if you want it to be a habit, do it for 30 days. People that do that all have one thing in common, and that is they love this product.
What a great testimonial. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing all of that. And, people might not know that my dad is John Hewlett, the formulator and founder of it. And it's really amazing to hear, your testimonial, Lisa's, and everyone else that has been sharing these stories for so many years. And it's been so inspiring to see that people are having these kinds of changes in their life. And my dad really started this whole thing set out for the idea of helping to heal the hearts of mankind. And so, Pastor Ben, both you and my dad, John Hewlett, you're both passionate about healing the hearts of mankind. Can you just expound on that? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that really connected John and I together was we had a similar mission. We care about people, we care about our nation, and we care about people around the world. I mean, we know that the gospel was given to us to not only give locally to our Judea, our Samaria, but then it says to the uttermost parts of the world. And so, that's a passion to take the healing message of what Christ can do to everyone. But, we started talking about this, and having gone through some health issues, John having gone through his health issues and what really led him on this journey, we came to this conclusion that, people are in need of help. They're in need of something that can bring them hope. They're in need of healing. Many people are looking for some kind of healing, whether it's physical or mental or whatever, spiritual. And of course, ultimately, we know that's what Jesus Christ does. He brings peace to the soul of mankind. But he also gives us, his people, abilities and opportunities to help change people's lives. And when John was blessed to come up with this formula and create this product, he realized that he had a different life mission. And, one of the things that he did was he cashed in or traded in what he was doing as a living and the way he had made money. And through multiple things that happened, he got to this point where now he had a legacy project, something that he could do that would truly leave a legacy behind. And that's the kind of stuff that I think has always attracted me. When I was in my early 20s pastoring, I got to know a lot of older pastors in their 60s and 70s. And for whatever reason, I quickly became friends with them. And I remember even in my 20s thinking it's odd that I'm so connected with these guys. And we would just have these deep conversations. And most of the time I would try to listen and learn. But the thing that I found with them, most of them at that point were really trying, they knew they were in their latter years. They were trying to really live life each day for a purpose. They didn't want to waste any time. And they really understood as life, kind of comes to the end, people get a little more focused on that. And so I think for me at a younger age, I was already there going, what is kind of my purpose? What is my focus? And then going through the health stuff, I think sped it up even more. It's like, okay, I may not be around till I'm 70 or 80. But I understand this, while God gives me breath, I want to do something that's truly going to make a difference. And so there's a lot of products out there that people are making money with. And there's been things that's been brought to me that we could make money with, but that's not what I'm looking for, because at the end of the day, the end of my life, I won't be satisfied with how much money I have. I know that I'll be satisfied based on what I've seen so many other people at the end of their life find satisfaction on. And that is two things. One, did I please the Lord with my life? And two, did I care and help and reach other people? And this is a product that's allowing us to truly help other people. And that's what I think sold me on Cardio Miracle. Is I firmly believe it's a product that exists, and it's a company that exists, not just so that the founder can make money. That's not what he's trying to do. He wants to help people. And that's something I can get along with and go along with every day of my life.
Well,
Beautiful.
brother, we have one contest between the two of us. Which of our grandbabies are the cutest? So
I mean, mine's a girl, so usually girls beat the boys. But other than that,
yeah, mine is a girl too. But what I think is so fascinating.
Oh, yours is a girl. I thought you had a grandson.
No, I have a grandbaby.
Where did I get that from? Oh, I am sorry.
That's
well, forgive me for that.
No. But what I think is so interesting is we now look at our legacy, right? Our legacy is not only our immediate children, our son-in-laws and daughter-in-laws and so on, but now it's personal. And I'm sure that John Hewlett, when he looks at his family and his grandchildren and maybe great-grandchildren, that legacy, and to stay focused on that, and then to see the fruits of his labor, and you and I, Ben, and how this is really changing lives. And so I am on a quest for be able to turn over every rock to be able to find something that's going to help people. But with this one product, truly, it's making a difference. And sometimes if you're watching or you're listening, and I encourage everyone to go do a house cleaning in your cupboard. And if you were like me, my kids called me a nutritional hoarder, because seriously, I had so many vitamins and minerals, probiotics, prebiotics, protein, I mean, you name it. And but what is so interesting, I encourage everyone to take your vitamins and minerals and say, okay, what is in this particular container that I can maybe not use anymore? because in a whole food, I did my thesis on vitamins and minerals, whole food versus synthetic. John is attempted to put every ingredient as close to nature as possible. What happens then is your body recognizes it, welcomes it in, your body is able to utilize it. If something is synthetic, your body can't utilize it, kind of stores it off. You remember in the day when there was so much, people were taking all kinds of calcium, and then they had calcium deposits and so on. So he's really done his homework, and I believe that he was guided by our Father. And I think it's very exciting to see what these next few weeks and few months and few years are going to be, and how his legacy product is really going to become, a legacy life because of what he's doing. But I'm so honored to be on the call with both of you, the podcast this evening. It's so exciting. And hopefully that many, many people are going to be able to watch us and be inspired by your story, Ben.
Well, thank you for that. And I know John is super excited to have Jason and Josh and some of the other family involved. And I have the privilege of having my boys involved in what we do, and that's such a blessing. And so, not only to leave a legacy, but when you get to have your legacy be a part of your children being involved in that, I know that thrills John. And he's a pretty good guy, and I love to razz him because he's a Utah Jazz fan. But other than that, he's a great blessing, and thankful that God put him and I together, and glad that God has allowed my paths to cross with both of you, and I love what you all are doing.
Well, thanks, Pastor Ben. And his whole thing with the Utah Jazz, he wanted to just be more spiritual. Remember that we're supposed to be long suffering. So
yes,
that's what we've got.
That's a good one.
But Pastor Ben, you're involved in so many things. And as we wrap up here, we appreciate your time.
Yes.
Curious about anything that you'd like to share with our viewers and our listeners about how they can consume your media. How can they get in touch with you for a speaking presentation? How can they buy your book? What are the best ways to be able to follow the path of Pastor Ben Graham?
Yeah, if they'll just go to pastorbengraham.com, pastorbengraham.com. You can sign up for our newsletter, and we send out usually about 2 a week, and keep you updated with what's going on. You can find our social media on there, find out the information about our latest book, about our latest films, and our latest tour. We're getting ready to start on the last Sunday of January. We start a 50-state tour called By the Word Tour. And so we'll be speaking in all 50 states, and also filming a show, The Real Talk with Pastor Ben Graham, in all 50 states. And we're excited about that. It's going to be a lot of fun. And so check it out. And if we're going to be in an area near you, we'd love to see you and meet you there. And just sign up on our newsletter, and we'll let you know all that's happening in our world.
Thank you so much, Pastor Ben, for joining us. And thank you to Lisa, my amazing co-host. We have sure had a nice time here with you today. And that wraps up today's episode of the Pulsebeat. And we hope you enjoyed our comprehensive discussion on various aspects of health, life, and everything in between with Pastor Ben. Remember to tune in again for another exciting episode where we'll explore real discussions. And remember to implement the knowledge you gained today into your daily routine to optimize your health, well-being, and spirit. And please join us again. If you have any questions or want to suggest a topic or guest for future episodes, feel free to reach out to us. Stay healthy and empowered. Support@cardiomiracle.com is how you can reach us. And one more time, this Pulsebeat podcast is sponsored by Cardio Miracle. Thank you for joining us. Have a great night.
God bless everybody.